Welcome to our channel, where we delve into the eerie and unexplained mysteries that lurk in the shadows. Today, we're diving into the unsettling world of creepy dolls. Dolls, with their lifelike features frozen in time, have long fascinated and terrified people around the world. From antique porcelain dolls with haunting gazes to modern ones with eerie mechanical movements, these seemingly innocent toys have sparked countless tales of paranormal encounters and supernatural phenomena. We hope you'll join us for a few spine-tingling creepy doll stories. So, without further ado, let's begin. In a small town nestled deep within the woods, there stood an old Victorian house with a dark history. Locals whispered tales of strange occurrences and eerie sightings that plagued the residents for decades. Amongst these stories, one stood out, the legend of the haunted doll. The doll was said to be an antique porcelain figure with lifelike features, once cherished by a little girl who mysteriously vanished without a trace. Since then, the doll had changed hands numerous times, leaving a trail of inexplicable events in its wake. One fateful evening, a young couple, Emma and James, stumbled upon the doll at a local antique shop. Ignoring the warnings of the shopkeeper, they purchased it, intrigued by its haunting beauty. As soon as they brought the doll home, peculiar things began to happen. Objects would move on their own, strange whispers echoed through the house at night, and a chilling presence seemed to linger in every room. Emma and James brushed off the occurrences at first, attributing them to their overactive imaginations. But as the days passed, the disturbances escalated. They started experiencing nightmares, each one more vivid and terrifying than the last. One stormy night, Emma awoke to find the doll at the foot of their bed, its eyes gleaming in the darkness. Frozen with fear, she watched as it levitated off the ground, its porcelain limbs contorting unnaturally. With a scream, Emma woke James, and together they fled the house, leaving everything behind. They sought refuge with family, determined to leave the nightmare behind them. Years later, long after they had moved on with their lives, they received a letter from the current residents of their old house. In the letter, the family recounted their own harrowing experiences with the doll and begged Emma and James to return to claim it. But Emma and James knew better than to tempt fate again. They burned the letter, vowing never to speak of the haunted doll again. Yet, in the depths of the night, they couldn't shake the feeling that the doll's malevolent presence still lingered, waiting to torment its next unsuspecting victim. In the attic of an old Victorian house, a dusty trunk concealed a sinister secret, a porcelain doll with piercing blue eyes and a hauntingly serene smile. The doll had been a cherished possession of the previous owner, a young girl who tragically perished in a fire that engulfed the house decades ago. Since then, the doll had remained untouched, hidden away in the attic. When the house was sold to a new family, they stumbled upon the doll while exploring their new home. Intrigued by its vintage charm, they decided to display it in their daughter's room. However, as soon as the doll entered the house, strange occurrences began to unfold. Objects would inexplicably move, and eerie whispers echoed through the halls at night. The family brushed off these incidents until their daughter started talking to someone no one else could see, an invisible friend she claimed was the doll. Disturbed, the family attempted to rid themselves of the doll, but it always found its way back into their possession. Desperate for answers, they sought the help of paranormal investigators who confirmed the doll's malevolent presence. Determined to break free from its grasp, the family performed a cleansing ritual, banishing the spirit attached to the doll once and for all. To this day, the doll remains locked away in the attic, a chilling reminder of the supernatural forces that once plagued the house. And though the family has moved on, they can't shake the feeling that the doll's porcelain gaze still follows them, a lingering presence from beyond the grave. In the small metropolis of Ravenwood, nestled amidst dense forests and whispered legends, stood an historical mansion called Blackwood Manor. For centuries, tales of its haunted history had circulated among the locals, but none were as chilling as the legend of the cursed doll. The doll, a delicate porcelain figure with glassy eyes and a painted smile, had been a prized possession of the mansion's former owner, a reclusive heiress named Lady Evelyn Blackwood. After her untimely demise under mysterious circumstances, the doll remained within the confines of Blackwood Manor, its presence casting a shadow over the estate. Years later, a young family moved into the mansion, unaware of its dark past. They discovered the doll hidden away in a forgotten attic room, where it lay amidst cobwebs and dust-covered relics. Intrigued by its antique charm, they decided to display it in their daughter's nursery. Almost immediately, strange occurrences began to unfold. Toys would vanish inexplicably, and eerie laughter echoed through the empty halls at night. The family's daughter, Emily, would talk to the doll for hours on end, her innocent conversations met with an unsettling silence. As the days passed, the doll's influence grew more pronounced. Emily's behavior became increasingly erratic, and she would often wake up screaming in the middle of the night, claiming that the doll had whispered terrible secrets to her in her dreams. Fearing for their daughter's safety, the family attempted to rid themselves of the doll, but it always found its way back into their home. Desperate, they sought the help of a local medium, who revealed that the doll was possessed by the vengeful spirit of Lady Evelyn Blackwood herself, trapped within its porcelain prison. With the medium's guidance, the family performed a ritual to banish the spirit from the doll once and for all. As the final incantation echoed through the halls of Blackwood Manor, a bone-chilling wind swept through the room, and the doll's glassy eyes flickered to life one last time before fading into darkness. Though the doll was gone, the memory of its malevolent presence lingered within the walls of Blackwood Manor, a reminder of the horrors that lurked in the shadows of Ravenwood. And as the family packed their belongings and left the mansion behind, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were leaving a piece of their souls behind with it. In a small town nestled deep within the Appalachian Mountains, there stood a dilapidated mansion known as Thornfield Manor. For decades, the mansion had been abandoned, its halls echoing with the whispers of a tragic past. Among its forgotten relics was a doll, a delicate porcelain figure with faded curls and empty eyes. Legend had it that the doll belonged to a young girl named Abigail Thornfield, the daughter of the mansion's former owners. Abigail was said to have been a lonely child, her only solace found in the company of her beloved doll, which she named Charlotte. But tragedy struck when Abigail mysteriously vanished one stormy night, leaving behind nothing but the echo of her laughter and the chilling presence of her doll. Years later, a group of urban explorers stumbled upon Thornfield Manor, drawn by tales of its haunted history. Ignoring the warnings of locals, they ventured inside, their flashlights casting long shadows against the crumbling walls. In a forgotten nursery, they discovered the doll, sitting alone on a dusty shelf, its porcelain features frozen in a perpetual smile. Intrigued by its eerie beauty, one of the explorers, a young woman named Lily, decided to take the doll home as a souvenir. But from the moment Charlotte entered her life, strange things began to happen. Objects would go missing, only to reappear in inexplicable places, and Lily would wake in the dead of night to the sound of soft footsteps echoing through her empty apartment. As the days passed, Lily became increasingly unnerved by Charlotte's presence. She could swear that the doll's glassy eyes followed her every move, and she often found herself waking from nightmares of Abigail's ghostly figure lurking in the shadows. Desperate for answers, Lily sought the help of a local medium, who revealed that Charlotte was more than just a doll. She was a vessel for Abigail's restless spirit, trapped between the worlds of the living and the dead. Terrified, Lily realized that she had unwittingly invited a malevolent force into her home, and that she was now its unwitting prey. With the medium's guidance, Lily performed a ritual to cleanse her apartment of Abigail's spirit. As the final incantation left her lips, a bone-chilling wind swept through the room, and Charlotte's porcelain face twisted in agony before shattering into 1,000 pieces. Though the doll was gone, Lily couldn't shake the feeling that Abigail's spirit still lingered within the shadows, watching and waiting for her next opportunity to strike. And as she left her apartment behind, she vowed never to underestimate the power of the supernatural again, knowing that some horrors were best left undisturbed. In 1896, in the small town of Key West, Florida, there lived a woman named Robert Eugene Otto and his family. Robert, often called Gene, was a painter and an art collector, and his home was filled with various objects and artifacts from around the world. One day, a Bahamian servant gifted Gene a doll that would become known as Robert the Doll. The doll, around 3 feet tall, was clothed in a sailor suit, with dark, beady eyes that seemed to follow people around the room. Gene was instantly enamored with the doll and took it everywhere with him, treating it as if it were a living companion. However, strange occurrences began happening soon after Robert the doll entered the household. Gene's parents claimed to hear the doll giggling and moving about the house when no one was playing with it. Objects would go missing, only to be found later in unusual places, and guests reported feeling uneasy in the presence of the doll. As Gene grew older, the disturbances attributed to Robert the doll only seemed to escalate. He would blame mishaps and accidents on the doll, claiming that Robert was alive and responsible for his misfortunes. Gene's behavior became increasingly erratic, isolating himself from others and spending hours in conversation with the doll. Even after Gene's death in 1974, the legend of Robert the doll persisted. The Otto family donated the doll to the Fort East Martello Museum in Key West, where it remains on display to this day. Visitors to the museum report feeling a sense of unease in Robert's presence, with some claiming that the doll's expression changes when they look away. Over the years, countless letters have been sent to Robert, apologizing for disrespectful behavior or asking for forgiveness after experiencing misfortune. Some believe that the doll is possessed by a restless spirit, while others attribute its eerie presence to the power of suggestion and the weight of the legend surrounding it. Nevertheless, Robert the doll continues to captivate the imagination and inspire fear in those who encounter it, a true paranormal phenomenon that originated from a simple, yet eerie, doll gifted to a young boy over a century ago.